Ridley Scott is going strong even at age 86, having directed 3 films in the past 3 years. His vast collection of 50 directing credits and over 30 movies and countless projects as a producer have rightfully made him one of the most important directors of our time.
Today, we try to decide which of his movies is the best in a single elimination movie bracket. We've selected 16 of his most popular and highest ranked movies, some of which are not his highest ranked, as we couldn't get to every single one of his films.
Yes, well, speak for yourself there, mate. I'm in the background actually running the last couple of films that I haven't seen of his, but I'm almost through his entire filmography, just a little flex here. But there's 28 movies. We had to make a selection so this bracket would run smoothly. So there's no G.I. Jane or even his latest Napoleon. If this is among your favorites, then we're sorry, but it won't appear on the bracket today.
Well, Ewan, what movies are in the bracket?
Well, thanks for asking, Lachlan. In order of Letterboxd ratings and seating overall, and also maybe this also isn't true and we just did this randomly. I don't know. It's not consistent overall, but we have Alien, Thelma and Louise, Blade Runner, Gladiator, American Gangster, The Duellists, The Last Duel, The Martian, Black Hawk Down, House of Gucci, Prometheus, Hannibal, Alien Covenant, Robin Hood, Kingdom of Heaven, and Exodus, Gods of Kings.
So Exodus is just in there because it's the lowest rated.
Yes,
and
we thought it would be
have
funny.
A little bit of fun and throw it in there. So that means there is no Napoleon, All the Money in the World, Matchstick Men, The Counselor, Legend, Body of Lies, G.I. Jane, A Good Year, 1492, Conquest of Paradise, White Squirrel, Someone to Watch Over Me, and Black Rain, much to the disappointment of Kevin.
Yes, Kevin, this is your cue. You really wanted us to get Black Rain in here, but it didn't make the cut.
And I hate you for it.
I'm sorry. But hey, it gives you the ultimate power. If Lachlan and I were to disagree today, which we never do, we always agree, so this will surely not even come up. You won't even need to speak, but if it does, you'll be our tiebreaker.
Yeah.
So we'll hear later from...
Black Rain in it.
He will be this sassy for the entire recording and just like he's like, oh yeah, I don't care about this, watch Black Rain, but I guess we'll go with this movie. This is what you can expect from Kevin today, I guess.
Wait, before we put Kevin at the back, I need to ask you a question. Should I watch Black Rain or Cocaine Mutiny? Which one should I do first?
Like, I wouldn't do this.
Right now,
he's gonna side with me.
I'll tell you right now.
You may watch.
I've watched 20 minutes of both of them.
Mm-hmm.
You may watch King Mutiny Court Martial.
Okay. All right. No worries. I'll watch Black Rain.
Fuck you, man. Why am I even here?
We love you, Kevin. Thank you so much. All right, so let's get this thing started. We got round 1 of a total of 4 rounds, 16 movies, 8 matchups. And our first matchup is, Alien, the number 1 seed against Exodus, Gods of Kings, which is in here because it's the lowest rated and we thought it was funny. Now, Lachlan, what's your plea for Exodus, Gods of Kings?
I didn't realize it was going up against Alien, which is like my favorite, one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'm going to be writing Exodus, Gods and Kings because it would be almost like a sin if I was to just pick it over Alien. I feel like I wouldn't be making it to tomorrow because I would be murdered in my sleep. Like, this is a pretty easy one. It's gonna be Alien. Exodus, Gods and Kings is part of the 2 year, because it was 2 subsequent years, I think 2013, 2014, with The Counselor and Exodus, where they're 2 of his lowest rated movies of all time. Yeah. And this one is his lowest, and I think there's a reason, but in all honesty, it wasn't like terrible. It was just shocking. That's the way. It's shocking. You go, what the fuck? Dog shit. Yeah, what the fuck is this? Why? How did someone who make Alien make this? So, I guess you gotta have your highs and your lows. I think both of these are a high, but I'm gonna pick Alien.
It's one of those films that he just, like, you can feel that he's making movies quickly and not, like, really carefully. He still gets, like, the period piece stuff and the set decoration, all of that stuff is still, like, it's it's really good. It doesn't look terrible, but it's the casting is also a bit odd, and the story itself is not really that engaging. And it's all right, but like Alien, arguably one of the best films of all time. I don't think that like Exodus: Gods of Kings is gonna beat it. So easy first pick.
Can I give Exodus: Gods and King a pity vote then?
Sure.
There
Yeah,
you gotta vote.
very nice. Anyways, next up, this is for some people this already would be kind of a hard matchup here between The Martian and Black Hawk Down, the number 8 and 9 seed. I'm personally not like overly passionate for either of these films. I think they're both like well made, but then I don't love either of them. But yeah, Lachlan, where do you lie? Is one of them one that you clearly love more than the other?
Yes.
Which would be?
And it's not The Martian.
Okay, cool. At least
Which one is it then?
we agree on that then. Which one is it then? Come on,
I'm not a fan of The Martian. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I remember watching it and everyone was raving on about it, and I just sat there and I went, it's good. If you're putting it up against Black Hawk Down, which could be his biggest cast of all time, or the cast of all time, because every
if you
scene,
include the choppers,
someone else
surely,
pops up, and I'm like, how are you in this movie? And then you're dead. And then how are you in this? And then they're dead.
You're dead.
It's just a massive movie in the sense of just cast, scale, action, drama. It's like my adrenaline was pumping, but I was crying like oil. It was a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
And The Martian was just Matt Damon farming potatoes. So I'm going to go with Black Hawk Down.
I think it could have clearly gone better if they had cast, like, he goes insane. I'm blanking on the name of the lead character in The Martian, but he like goes insane as he's potato farming, and all of the potatoes come to life and they have like faces, and then they're all like famous people. And then you have a bigger cast than Black Hawk Down. You have that one thing where like it rips open and all of his potatoes die. Spoilers for The Martian, I'm sorry. And then all of his potatoes die, and you got like a huge cast that you can like kill with one. It's like Order 66. And that way, The Martian could have been better than Black Hawk Down. But I rewatched The Martian, Black Hawk Down for the first time this year at a film festival where they did a 35mm showing of it. And it looked really great on... Thank you. On 35mm. Wasn't the biggest fan of all of the war stuff. I think that's one of the things that I don't love about Ridley Scott sometimes. Some of the movies that didn't make it onto the bracket actually have that a bit more in the forefront, like Body of Lies, for example, that gets like political and army CIA stuff. But it's the action scenes and the battles that Ridley Scott does incredibly well. And I think that's where the Black Hawk Down shines. And The Martian, I liked it way less on the rewatch because Matt Damon's character just got on my nerves. I found him a bit annoying. So I'm also going to go with Black Hawk Down and the early out for The Martian. Some people's favorites.
I would have gone with The Martian personally.
That's, yeah.
Because, Black Hawk Down...
That's because you love comedies.
No. Hate comedies.
And it's a comedy.
No.
It is a comedy. It is pretty much a comedy.
The Martian is a comedy.
No.
Yeah.
What? We just believe in the Golden Globes now, huh?
Yeah.
Yes. That is the only way that you can verify a genre of a movie is what's the Golden Globes listed as.
Yeah.
Sure. I would have gone with The Martian. I just love the shot of, Matt Damon sitting on that rock and the camera going 360 around it. I honestly just love. And also it's just like, it is one of the most scientifically accurate movies, of all time. So, and Black Hawk Down is more like a bit reminiscent of those like 70s, 80s, 60s movies where you got like a big cast, make a World War II movie, but this time it's in Iraq or wherever it is. So, if I rather watch The Martian than Black Hawk Down. Sorry.
But didn't you go and point at the screen when they set the line title of the movie when they said Black Hawk Down, Black Hawk Down. I was very hyped.
No.
Don't remember them going like, ooh, The Martian, whatever. That's fucking boring.
Just move on, Ewan.
No. Okay. Well, Gladiator goes up against Alien Covenant. We are staying in space. And for me, another easy pick. I stand by a statement that I've made a couple of weeks ago that I don't think there's a bad Alien movie. Alien Covenant is probably the weakest if you don't include the Predator versus Aliens, by the way. But Gladiator, thing still holds up. It's great, and I'm very keen for what he does with this property next, continuing the saga. Maybe also another one where it's not like, you just praised the scientific accuracy of The Martian. I don't think we can do the same when it comes to historical accuracy in all of Ridley Scott's films. That's fine. I love The Gladiator. It's great.
The Gladiator? It's like the YouTube again. Jesus, Ewan.
The Gladiator. The YouTube.
Alien Covenant gets a bad rap, but I do agree it's the weakest of them all. Especially after the hype of a film that we'll talk about a little bit later, of another Alien movie that he did. This is unfortunately on the lower end, which is unfortunate because I love Danny McBride and I love any shit that he's in. And when he has a character named Tennessee and he's just wearing that cowboy hat the entire time and he's riding that ship, I got pretty hyped for it. But guess what? It was a letdown, and that kind of sucks. But hey, what are you gonna do, right? What can you do? Instead, you can watch Gladiator, which was my first time watching Gladiator.
Really? Okay. Really? I thought you had seen it before. It was a rewatch, but it actually was first time.
I had seen clips. I have seen moments, and I knew pretty much how the film came together. I've just never sat down and watched it from start to end. And it's the same as a couple of other Ridley Scott films this watch. It's my first time watching a couple of them, but it's my first time watching Gladiator from start till end. And it was a instant 5 stars. I'm pretty sure I gave it instantly 5 stars on Letterboxd. I wasn't even finished with the movie. I paused it, I 5-starred it, and then I moved and I continued watching it. And even afterwards, I was still happy with it. So, Yep.
Well, that means the first Alien movie in our bracket gets kicked out. Let's see if the other one...
You boss Gladiator?
How dare I?
Anyways, we got our next matchup here. American Gangster against Hannibal. Yeah, I guess kind of a loosely connected sequel to The Silence of the Lambs, where we have a returning character and then a recast character. Yeah, I watched Hannibal, both of these for the first time, and I was surprised how much Hannibal actually works. I thought it was surely just gonna ride on the back of Anthony Hopkins' captivating performance, but no, I think the movie has a bit more to offer than that. I think American Gangster is really solid. Again, incredible performance. Why am I blanking on his name?
Denzel Washington?
Yeah. Fuck's sake. Incredible lead performance by Denzel Washington.
Just a small actor, don't worry, man. Just a small actor.
Don't call me out. I cut around it now mentally. You can't bring it back up again. This is not part of the cut. I surely didn't forget about Denzel Washington, one of the greatest actors working today. But yeah, I'm gonna hold off. Like, I'm gonna wait on where you land on this. But I got a preference. Here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the best part of Hannibal is not Hannibal Lecter. It's not Anthony Hopkins. It's not Julianne Moore.
Mm-hmm.
It's Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman in Hannibal is the most fun I think I've had with a character in recent memory. Where I remember watching the movie and then going, oh, yeah, that was a lot of fun. Oh, let's see who's in the cast. And you go, holy shit, that's Gary Oldman. He's under makeup. And it's the same thing with another movie, The Kingdom of Heaven. We haven't got to it yet. With, name's missing. Now I'm doing the blanky blank in The
Orlando
King
Bloom?
with the Mask. Not Orlando Bloom.
Yeah, that's a good question, actually.
Why am I blanking on his name? Because you don't see him. Edward Norton. There it is. Edward Norton in that one. Same thing. It's two movies that Mr. Scott has done, where people have kind of been behind makeup, behind a mask, and their performance is so captivating. And that is just a talent, not for just the director to be able to do that, but an actor themselves. And I love that Hannibal had more time on the screen, but Gary Oldman stole the show. Like, Gary Oldman stole it. In saying that,
he's
though...
very unhinged,
in saying that, though, I gave American Gangster 4.5 stars, and it was my first time watching it, because I'm not a big gangster movie guy. But, what can I say now is I'm a gangster movie guy. I absolutely loved American Gangster. It's phenomenal. It's so much fun. Russell Crowe, like Gladiator, is fantastic, but in this one, he's got so much... I feel like he's having more fun in this, and Denzel Washington is just absolutely killing it as Frank Lucas, and Frank Lucas has kind of established himself now in my head as like the all-time most respectful gangster ever, because he's not that traditional gangster in your mind. He actually has class. He doesn't want to come across as a mobster. He wants to come across as a man who's determined to make a difference in his own world, and he doesn't care who he hurts, and that is just wicked. So for me, out of these two movies, Hannibal's great, but American Gangster is where it's at, man.
And I think both of these films aren't like super talked about. I think Hannibal is definitely the one that's more known. I rarely see someone bring up in like Ridley Scott's greatest American Gangster like in the same breath. Kevin's holding up his hand. Yes, he is. He surely is. I agree with you. I think American Gangster is better than Hannibal by a long shot. I think Hannibal gets a bit messy by the end. Some of the parts that gets messy, I love. Especially something that involves someone's head. I think it's incredible how unhinged this movie gets. It's just crazy. But American Gangster is really solid throughout. I think it's one of the greats when it comes to gangster movies. It certainly can hold up the candle, and just how unpredictable this guy is, because he, like you said, he's not really holding back. He's not in it solely for himself, but also for his community. But then he also just wants the notoriety, and he wants to be at the top at all costs as well. It's really intriguing, and I think Denzel Washington really adds all of the layers needed to make that character super captivating. And we'll be talking about like 2 Russell Crowe movies, I guess, in the next matchup, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Kevin, you surely agree with the American Gangster pick, so that's
it's a clean sweep.
Easy, clean sweep. All right, Thelma and Louise against Kingdom of Heaven is our next matchup. Movie that a lot of people say works way better in the director's cut, that being Kingdom of Heaven, and the base movie basically being unwatchable. I wouldn't like say that like the initial theatrical cut is like unwatchable, but it certainly has gaps. There's stuff that is missing. I think it has one of the best battle scenes of all time. I think it's incredible. All of the story, the rest of it, Orlando Bloom, I'm not into it. I didn't like that part, all of that stuff, but the battle scenes were incredible. But where do you land, Lachlan, between those two?
I agree. I think that Kingdom of Heaven has some fantastic battle scenes, especially the final one. Yeah. And I think that it's got a really captivating performance from Edward Norton. And it has a cast that doesn't get as close to Black Hawk Down, but has some really big names in it. As we know, Mr. Orlando Bloom, you've got Liam Neeson in it, Edward Norton, you've got Jeremy Irons, David Thewlis, Brendan Gleeson, Michael Sheen's in it. Like, there is a massive cast in this film. And I agree. I don't know what version I watched, but I'm pretty sure it probably was the theatrical one.
Yeah. The other one's even longer.
Did I watch the director's one?
No,
okay,
you watched the...
So I probably... Yeah, cool. So maybe I should go back, watch that director's cut, see what's been added in. But for me, when you're comparing it to Thelma and Louise, which is an incredible performance it's one of the only Ridley Scott movies where you don't really have a lot of action jumping in front of you. It's mostly character driven. And I'm not saying that Ridley Scott's movies aren't character driven, but this is one that the story takes focus. There's no other spectacle. And that was engaging for me. So for me, whilst I liked Kingdom of Heaven, Thelma and Louise beats it in this situation.
I mean, for me, easily as well. I love Thelma and Louise. I think we're going to talk about it a bit more. And I'm having high hopes that this one will actually make it far in the bracket, but we'll see. But yeah, Kingdom of Heaven. I'm also curious if the director's cut adds a lot to it. It's just like a lot of movie, and it feels like... I don't know, if you're not totally invested in the base characters that are set up, do I really care to see the story expanded that much more? So it is a bit better.
Yeah.
I was just there for.
Will be better.
I just heard also that the battle scenes are extended, and for that reason, maybe it is worth it. Like rating wise, that they cut back on some of the violence, the blood shed. All of that stuff, it might be worth checking it out just because that's, in my opinion, also the strongest part of it, right? But yeah, that's our matchup. Kevin, do we get your sign of approval?
I haven't seen Kingdom of Heaven somewhere.
So we get the sign of approval.
Somewhere there.
I'll take it.
And it's a director's cut, so I will be watching it soon too. But yeah, sure. Thelma and Louise. Thelma and Louise, they put a gun to Kingdom's head and they shot it dead. It moves on to the next round. Let's go.
I love those visuals. If we had a better editor than myself, then maybe it could have been edited that way. But hey, here you just got your imagination.
Wait, you edit our videos? No.
Yeah, well, it's actually, I take all the credit. It's actually like a little gremlin that we put at in the... We don't talk about him. Anyways.
Don't talk about Schmeagol that way.
My precious, and he's just holding a 4090. Well, okay, so his two latest movies, well, excluding Napoleon here, that both came out in 2021, same year, a couple of months apart, I think, at most. He released two movies, which is crazy to do, especially at his age, to be that active. But The Last Duel and House of Gucci both came out in 2021. I have a clear preference. I actually really liked The Last Duel. House of Gucci was actually a last second in that we had here. It was always on standby because I don't know. It's a really memeable movie for the performances and the ridiculous scenes that it's got. I don't know if it is a solid movie that showcases what Ridley Scott is capable of, just because I think whenever he tries to do comedy, it doesn't really land as much as him just doing despicable male characters. I think he's really good at that, and strong female protagonists, but when it's comedy between those dynamics, he sometimes struggles, and I think it's one of the shortcomings of Napoleon as well. But The Last Duel is all about perspective, and I think it does that quite well. He executes on his vision, and yeah, I liked him. I think more than the general reception was for the film, but I don't remember where you landed on it. But yeah, Lachlan, what do you make of it?
Fuck House of Gucci. Fuck House of Gucci. It's a piece of shit. Right. Moving on. It's The Last Duel. That's my pick.
Okay. Well, a few words. A man of few words.
Let's not waste our time with possibly almost a rehash of 2013, 2014 two bad movies. At least The Last Duel was I don't know, pretty solid.
Yeah, I really liked The Last Duel. But yeah, Kevin, you agree with us here, or are you gonna drop in a hot meme from House of Gucci?
I was actually hoping you guys would ramble on. I would take the clip of Jared Leto, I would put it in the Discord sounds tab, but I didn't have enough time because
we're not We're not gonna do Discord sounds today. It's obnoxious, and it's only us who can. Now I've triggered it. Now someone's gonna use it.
Yeah. House of Gucci is a masterpiece. The Last Duel is quite horrible. Yeah, that's a pretty sus statement. Now, I guess The Last Duel goes on. It is one of the best Ridley Scott movies out there. Even though, it was pretty famous for being a flop, I do think it has grown quite the fan base, quite the honor in Ridley Scott's filmography. So
yeah. Well, speaking of something that's really honored in his filmography, Robin Hood, of course. No, Blade Runner, one of his early movies. He went on a run where he had really back-to-back amazing films, and I don't know if he's ever been able to live up to the standard that he set for himself early on. But Blade Runner, obviously, a box office flop. Ultimately, that's just like, every Blade Runner has to flop. It can't make money, of course, but it's become incredibly iconic. There's also a couple different versions of it. Probably the most infamous case for any movie to have like different cuts out there. Sometimes really recontextualize the whole film. I don't know if I've ever seen the actual theatrical cut that has a bunch of voiceover. I don't think I've seen that one. I don't know about you, Lachlan, but obviously gonna vote for Robin Hood here, right? How can we not?
Yeah, I mean, I love that fox like going around and like the wolf.
Fox?
I love the animation of that movie too.
Yeah, I think you're not in the. That's actually a different movie, Kevin.
What?
Yeah, that's not Ridley Scott. I think that's Disney.
Yeah, no. So this one doesn't have the fox. This one has Kevin Costner in it, and Kevin Costner runs
He's
around
a fox.
with a
fox.
wolf. He's a fox.
I'll howl for him. Auga!
Pretty simple. Just the wrong Robin Hood. And I understand it gets a little bit confusing with what Robin Hood movie we're talking about. Yeah.
Oh,
You watched the wrong one, man. Nah, it's alright.
You watched
It
American
happens.
Gangster,
It
Robin the Hood.
happens.
There are other versions of Blade Runner. I watched the wrong one too. Oh,
Which the animated
shit,
one.
man.
Yeah.
I believe there are 5 cuts of Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Jai.
Blade
There's a
Runner
lot.
kept running from the cut. Can't make a movie without cutting yourself. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, there's too many puns in this bracket. Not enough movie talk.
Yeah.
But yeah, Robin Hood.
Well,
What do we think?
let's make this, because it's super close between Blade Runner and Robin Hood in my opinion.
Of course.
I think that they both were ahead of their time. They both were a foundation of building a genre. Without Blade Runner, you wouldn't have the whole sci-fi genre got an image stuck in their head when watching this movie. And it's the same thing with Robin Hood. Everyone got a headache from watching that movie. So everyone is just in the same boat here, but I just got to make it simple. I've got to flip a coin. And it is going to be, if it lands on heads, if it's going to be on heads, it's going to be Blade Runner. And if it lands on tails, it's going to be Blade Runner. But if it lands in the middle, then I'll pick Robin Hood. Okay?
Sure.
I've got to get a coin. Hang on.
Lachlan's gonna get shot midway through flipping the coin, just like his hand gets caught up by like an arrow that comes in. It's like, no, it's Russell Crowe time today.
I've got no. Oh, there it is. No cash.
Broke bitch.
This is the most useless dollar. It's a New Zealand dollar, and it's worthless. So.
Isn't Russell Crowe from New Zealand?
Here we go.
It's a double
Oh
shot
my God,
at Robin Hood.
It's Russell Crowe coin. Oh, this is perfect. All right. It's heads. It's Blade Runner. Let's go.
Cool. Right. I'm glad we did that.
I honestly, if it went on Robin Hood, I would have voted Robin Hood 2 and
That
got rid of
is
Blade Runner. Honestly,
actually
I would have done that.
Not funny. Actually, not funny to
So
kick.
funny.
I'm actually. I don't think. I know that Lachlan likes the sequel to Blade Runner, like Blade Runner 2049, more than the original.
Me too.
And I think I would be on. Yeah, I would agree there. I think it improves on basically every level, but it doesn't mean that like Blade Runner isn't an amazing movie by itself.
I mean,
But yeah,
I think Ridley Scott has said it's his biggest regret of doing Alien Covenant instead of 2049. So there you
really,
go.
okay.
Yeah, it's like
Well,
one of his biggest regrets or something. Yeah.
one of his earliest films, though, it might even be the earliest film on the. Yeah, pretty sure it is. The Duellists, definitely his most underrated, but highly rated on Letterboxd if you go by ratings, but not by overall popularity. I'd say that the Duellists is never really talked about, and then obviously Prometheus comes from the Alien franchise, so you got a lot of fans that are curious to see what the story holds taking place. I don't know how Lachlan, you are more of an Alien expert, how much earlier it takes place in the Alien canon timeline, but yeah, being a different take on the film with a new crew and everything. I wanna hear from you first before I share my thoughts. What do you prefer between those two?
So I watched The Duelist for the first time,
same.
and I thought it was really solid, really solid. It's another one of those films where action doesn't take a big centerpiece. It is mostly character driven, and it has pretty well aged to be still considered a decent movie in 2023. So to have that as a compliment to The Duelist is massive. To age like fine wine, still be a good film. Harvey Keitel's a little bit weird with his accent, but other than that, like the film's super.
But I mean, his hair,
solid,
man.
and I think it's oh man, his hair's spectacular. I just talked about his accent, not his hair, mate. His hair is fantastic. Facial hair, head hair, it's all great. However, is Prometheus a masterpiece?
You're trying to bait YouTube clicks? Is this a 2012
Prometheus,
YouTube title?
I know I say Blade Runner 2049 is a great sequel, but Prometheus is the Blade Runner 2049 of that universe. It is a fantastic sequel. Really? I'm considering Alien 2 to be very close, but to have a sequel take place many, many years later, or a spin-off many, many years later.
Oh, it's later, not before.
Blade Runner 2049 takes what's so good about it and then makes it better. Prometheus does the same thing.
Right.
So, is Prometheus a masterpiece?
Well, I wouldn't say so. I think it's a solid entry in the Alien franchise, but I wouldn't put it.
You guys are fucking idiots. It's a masterpiece.
I can never tell if he's actually kidding, but he's one of the Alien fans that I could see go like, this is incredible. I think it's the better between Alien Covenant and this, the later films that are like also kind of connected. Like, would you say it's better than Alien or Aliens? Would it rival the best in the franchise for you?
Well, that's you thinking that I believe that Alien and Aliens is the best in the franchise.
Okay.
Clearly, Alien Cubed is the best in the franchise.
No, I'm more of an Alien versus Predator. That's more my speed.
That's fair.
Yeah, of course. AVP.
Look, I think that it has its strengths. I still don't think it beats what Alien and Aliens had going for it, and that's a given. And it's the same thing with Blade Runner 2049. I don't think it beats what Blade Runner had going for it, but it's a sequel that adds on and builds lore, and I think is gorgeous. I think it's one of those films that I can watch without audio and just sit there and watch it, and I'm like, yeah, this is great.
To be fair, yeah, I think while we were studying in Australia, one of the production designers actually gave a talk, and that was part of our class that we had to attend. I think she mentioned Prometheus. I don't know if she worked on it, and like Mad Max Fury Road, stuff like that. So that's exciting, and we got to see a bit more of the behind the scenes, if I remember correctly, for Prometheus as well. It's one of its strengths, and being the last matchup of the movies that we selected here, we could see that like Fassbender is someone who frequently collaborates with Ridley Scott, and Russell Crowe is another person that we see in a lot of his films. I would say he kind of got the bizarre nature of like, what the fuck is wrong with men? and he captured that in the Duelists so well. I was like, what? Why the fuck are these guys just like? Why are they fighting? Why do they keep fighting? It's so bizarre. It gets a bit repetitive, but I actually like the Duelists more than Prometheus. So I don't even know if Kevin has seen either of them, but we'll need a tiebreaker for this matchup.
Kevin, mate.
I haven't seen the Duelists. I have seen Prometheus.
Well, okay.
But I'm gonna go with the Duelist.
No. You can't do that. You can't do that. If you've seen the film and the animation,
here's why. I have seen clips of the Duelist, and I've seen breakdowns of the fight scenes in the Duelist.
Yeah.
And one person said, like, the Duelist has some of the best fencing and sword fighting in cinematic history. And for that reason, I'm going to go Duelist, because even though I haven't seen it fully, I think I would prefer it over Prometheus, which is still a strong movie. And if we're talking about, cast, Prometheus has some of the strongest cast of them all. But I have to go to Duelist. I'm sorry.
Luckily, you should have watched the recommendations that Kevin gave you. I feel like I'm cashing in, on hey, Kevin, I actually watched the movie you recommended me, and it that ultimately pays off in these brackets.
I was never gonna watch it though, but it's okay.
Oh man, that's tough. All right,
you okay, Bo?
No.
I don't think he's gonna talk to me anymore. All right, let's move on.
Okay.
I can't believe you voted for a movie that you. Dude.
It's actually so funny. It's well. Anyways, let's just move on. Round 2. 8 movies have made it through to the second round. Prometheus hasn't. Alien is going up against Black Hawk Down. I love war films, but the action war film genre, I wouldn't say is my favorite, and Black Hawk Down is a bit more of that. I love the suspense in Alien. It has a case for being one of the best films of all time. So I'm easily voting for Alien here. Lachlan, what about you?
I think Lachlan is traumatized.
Ooh. Yep. I'm going to have PTSD every time I bring up Prometheus now, because I'm going to think about the time that the Duelists beat Prometheus, and that's very unfortunate in history. We can't go back now. You can't take that back. That is a thing that happened. We're never going to be able to take that back. So
maybe we can do a prequel on this bracket in a couple of years, and then we can change the course of time. And,
yeah. Perfect. Yep. Still won't change the fact that it happened. And it's permanent.
Mm-hmm. But hey, you can vote another Alien movie through here, so
yes,
at least that's that.
I can, but I won't. I'm gonna pick Black Hawk Down.
Oh, for fuck's sake! This is getting too political. The alliances are getting crazy.
Now the question is, right? Do I side with Lachlan so he watches my recommendations, or do I go with Alien?
This is not how this bracket is supposed to go.
The reason I'm gonna pick Black Hawk Down over Alien. I think Alien is fantastic. I think it's one of the best, and I think it is one of the best sci-fi movies ever made. I think it's almost a masterpiece, and I think it probably is a masterpiece. But you know what Black Hawk Down does that Alien just doesn't?
No.
You know what it does?
I don't know.
But an Alien just doesn't do it? It has... Sorry. It has 2 helicopter crashes. And Alien doesn't.
It's a fair argument.
And it has the phrase Black Hawk Down.
That was one of my arguments in the round. So I feel like now you just
But do you know what
I don't think
happens
you truly feel this way.
in Aliens? 2 helicopters go down and they say Black Hawk Down. That's what happens in Aliens. So Alien
It's got it all.
voted it out. Black Hawk Down it is.
Oh my god. Okay.
For Lachlan's counter argument, for trash counter argument, I'm gonna vote Alien. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You actually had me, Lachlan, but Like you
No,
lost me.
no,
You
no.
lost me.
That would have been unacceptable if Black Hawk Down goes in over Alien. I think Lachlan is still he can't think clearly. I hope you. Well, this I feel like it is a very interesting matchup. The next one we are coming up. We got Gladiator up against American Gangster.
I want to ask you guys a question. Which
Okay.
movie of the two has more whiz?
Which movie
Which
has
one
more
of the two
Riz?
movies has more what? Morbius?
No, you got Russell
I
Crowe
feel-
in Gladiator. You got Russell Crowe in American Gangster with Denzel. Who has more whiz?
I think they both have a lot of Riz. When it comes to straight out the get go, I would side with Gladiator. I don't know if that's the question. It's about like which movie we prefer though. None. Which movie has more Riz? But I mean, people are just like head over heels for Russell Crowe, so I guess he has more Riz, I'd say. But Lachlan, you want to add to the Riz question, or it's just like which movie's better? Siri, what is Riz?
Look, I get it. Riz is short for resounding
Riz Ahmed.
universal love, and I think that has to go towards Gladiator because American Gangster takes the back seat in his filmography, where with Gladiator it's front and center. It is the perfect film lover, action lover, and then general audience cluster. Everyone loves this movie. No one can deny this is a great movie. Anyone who says they don't like Gladiator isn't a real person. They're a glitch in the simulation. So it has to go to Gladiator.
Dude, I mean, I agree. I'm gonna go with Gladiator over American Gangster. I think Gladiator is incredible. American Gangster is great too, but yeah, it's not as iconic as Gladiator.
I'm gonna side with my man Denzel.
All right. Well, glad you later, your man. Because Gladiator is moving on and not American Gangster. Next up, Thelma and Louise against The Last Duel. Now, Lachlan, I don't think you're passionate about The Last Duel at all, but you praised Thelma and Louise, so I feel like I know where you're gonna land on this matchup. I like The Last Duel. Clearly prefer Thelma and Louise. We can make this another quick thing unless you wanna say some more.
Yeah, you want to do a quickie? All right, cool. It will be Thelma and Louise.
Quickie with Thelma and Louise. Yeah. It's the perfect matchup to use the word quickie, by the way. Not sexist or problematic at all. All right, so we are back here. Blade Runner, and here's the Duelists. But Lachlan, hey, I hear you. I'm gonna go with Blade Runner over the Duelists. Clearly, I think one is the better. So I think the Duelists had enough time to shine. And we can do another quickie and kick it out. What do you think?
Without Blade Runner, there is no future. If Blade Runner didn't come out, then
what
it's
is even
the same
sci-fi?
timeline where when they launched the nuclear bomb, which I know happened before Blade Runner came out, that it caused a chain reaction that blew up the atmosphere. Same timeline.
Fair. Okay.
I know what happened beforehand, but without Blade Runner, we would have had that. So Blade Runner.
That makes sense. I hear your argument.
Stunning.
Yeah, no. That's sound logic. Yeah. You don't have anything to add here, Kevin, because you didn't see the Duelist, so I'm just gonna skip over you. Semifinals time. Actually, to no surprise to everyone, the number 1, 2, 3, and 4 seed has made it the thirdest in this bracket. What a surprise! So our first matchup here is Alien up against Gladiator. So you voted against Alien the round prior. Where do you land here? In the pit with the Glad or on the shit?
In the same spot, baby. I'm picking Gladiator because I think it's a fantastic hero's journey. Even though I think Alien stretched what horror could be, what sci-fi could be, what the main protagonist could be. Being a woman, which is kind of shocking during that time. Everyone was like, what? A woman protagonist? That's crazy. But Alien had made Sigourney Weaver the biggest badass in badass history, that I think that Sigourney Weaver could take on Denzel Washington in American Gangster.
Yes. Ultimately,
I
this
actually
is
think
what
she
this
could probably
bracket is
take
about.
on Maximus in Gladiator.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I think that as a movie, Gladiator is a masterpiece.
Well, I made a prediction at the start of this thing, where I guessed where at least I would vote, and hopefully where we'd end up. And the title of this thing was Lachlan better not pick Gladiator over Alien. And that's exactly where we're at. Lachlan's picking Gladiator over Alien. And I'm not gonna stand for it. I'm sticking with I guess the most normie pick, the highest rated one. Yeah, it actualized. It's like similar to the Blade Runner thing with the atomic bombs in retrospective. Because I've titled this, of course, you're gonna like Gladiator more than Alien. But yeah, Kevin, we're gonna need another tiebreaker here, because I'm gonna go with Alien.
I have opened up a 20-second timer. I'm gonna give you both 20 seconds to convince me why your pick is better. Ewan, you got 20 seconds starting from now.
Okay, so you got that scene all around the table where the alien bursts out of the guy. I think it's the most iconic shot in film history, and just guessing who it is, who even the lead character is. I think it's such an intriguing thing. This is yes, a thriller in space.
Shut up. Lachlan, you got 20 seconds.
Talking about the most iconic part, what about Russell Crowe running his hands through the bushes at the start, leading it to the end where he rejoins his family after that entirely long hero's journey? You've got a young Joaquin Phoenix, a brilliant Russell Crowe, and most importantly, a story for the generations.
For what generation?
Wow, you even had 5 seconds left. You could have gone further. Based on both of your arguments, I have revised with the board of movies. And the winner of the bracket of this round is unfortunately Gladiator.
For fuck's sake. I hate making short cases for movie. You know, I yap a lot, and you can't fault me for if you restrict my yap, you're not gonna get the best out of me.
By the way, the reason why I picked Gladiator is because Lachlan mentioned the hand going to the field.
That was my first thought as well. That's such like so iconic.
Which I have read was the last day of shooting apparently.
Yeah.
And I just love that detail, and the fact he mentioned that up brought me more joy than the alien bursting out of the chest. I'm sorry, Ewan.
I know. It's like I think with Alien, there's just so much that you could mention on why it's great. It was hard to figure out what I should focus on. And with Gladiator, I think that it ties it perfectly. If you mention the great, it runs through the whole film. And I mean, look, we are choosing between two amazing films, so I'm not too hurt.
I mean, I could do a 20-second rebuttal on Alien if you wanted me to.
I could do the same for Gladiator, but we won't. This video is already long enough. So let's get to the second semifinal matchup, which is between Thelma and Louise and Blade Runner. Personally, I don't know which one I prefer between these two. I think they have the same rating for me. I pretty much like them equally as much. So, Lachlan, I'm curious if you have a clear favorite between the two.
I enjoy a movie that leaves me guessing, leaves me questioning it, makes me want to explore it more. And for me, more recently, I saw a movie that when I basically left the cinema, I drove home thinking about it, right? Mm-hmm. I love sitting there and thinking about a movie, even after the credits have rolled. And at the same time, I do love movies that are just over. They're short and sweet and they're great. But a movie that makes you think is art. That's Blade Runner. Blade Runner is art. Blade Runner makes you think, makes you question. Thelma and Louise is an enjoyable ride. It's entertaining, it's fun, it's funny, and it's over. but Blade Runner has continuously come up in conversation over the years, not just as a movie that was great, but a thought-provoking piece of art.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I'm picking Thelma... And I'm kidding. It's why I'm picking Blade Runner.
Fair, yeah. I think Thelma and Louise is that type of film where you go on a trip with these two characters and you get to learn about them. And it's a ride that gets cut short very abruptly in the way that the film ends, and also where the story ends for these characters, where they're left off. And and I think this whole time I just wanted them to go on a trip where they could enjoy each other, and having moments in between where like everything is kind of good and dandy, and they can live in the fantasy land where they're not struggling through the actual problems that they're facing just around the corner. And it's so well done. The performances are amazing. The writing is great. You could see that Ridley Scott often is just as great as the script that he's given. If he's got a great script, he'll make a great movie. But if he's got a terrible one, then he'll make Exodus, the God of Kings. But here you got like someone who wrote something great, and I think it's amazing. But I don't know if I can pick it over Blade Runner though, because it's the one I'm also more familiar with, the one that I've watched more, that has stayed with me more, that has more iconic shots, moments that are gonna stay with you. And like you said, it makes you think. It has an incredible moment, like we are all just gonna I'm butchering the quote here, like Tears in Rain, like Tears in Rain quote. It is one of the all-time quotes of all time in the all-time quotes of all time. Yes, I can English. I'm gonna go with Blade Runner here as well. But honestly, shout out to anyone who hasn't seen Thelma and Louise. It's way more likely that you've seen the other 3 films in the semifinals. If you haven't, go watch Thelma and Louise. It's really worth your time. It's an incredible movie. Would you have agreed with us, Kevin?
I watched Thelma and Louise last night. So,
For
by
the
the
first
way,
time?
also Hans Zimmer score, Thelma and Louise. If that intrigues anyone. And I also watched the extended ending, which I find so funny that the producer said, "Oh God,
we can't do it like that."
Because the thing is, right? I knew the ending.
Yeah.
I knew the ending.
Oh, it's very iconic.
Because it's very iconic, right? So you know the story is gonna end on a high, and I was just
Literally.
like, so I was just curious about the journey. And also Harvey Keitel is quite good in this movie. I wanted a bit more of him actually, but I guess you can watch Bad Lieutenant if you want more Harvey Keitel as a cop. So
or the Duellists.
Yeah. Or the Duellists. Yeah. But I don't know about that hair though. Blade Runner gets a clean sweep for me to the finals.
Yes, the finals. Duking it out is the Boom Boom Blast Blast Blade Runner trying to identify androids. Do they sleep or do they not sleep?
Replicants.
Forever. Gladiator is in the ring. And he's great at fighting. Can he beat Blade Runner? It's the worst intro ever. It's just a long bracket.
All right. Let's do something a little bit different here. Let's just try to figure out between us what is the better movie. So let me ask you a question, then you can ask me a question. Let's do it like a back and forth a couple times. Kevin can jump in on this as well. And let's see if we can come to an agreement on what we think is stronger. So I think the first thing we should do between Gladiator and Blade Runner is who is a better main character? Who is the better character we follow? Deckard, Maximus. Is it Harrison Ford or is it Russell Crowe? My opinion, it's Russell Crowe.
I think I would say so as well, just because we get more from him than Deckard. Because I feel like Deckard is often a vehicle to tell the story. I like that he's a flawed character, that he's questioning himself. And I think Russell Crowe's Maximus is just on a road of on a road of redemption, but it's never the question that he needs to redeem himself because he's always been a good man. So it's like that quest is just cut short by the obstacles that are put in his way, which make him, to me, overall a less interesting character to follow. But all of his hardships and the way that he gets through them is so fucking intriguing in Gladiator. It's hard to not pick him as your lead protagonist because it's so easy to get behind. I think I'm gonna go with Maximus here as well. Yeah.
Kev?
Now the thing is, right?
Now don't be quirky and be like, oh, Deckard. Like, come on, just say Maximus. That's fine.
No, because here's the thing, right? You got the famous, I am Maximus, the Aurelius, whatever. But you also got Deckard, right? And you have to realize, right? You got Russell Crowe, a guy with great charisma, but then you also got Harrison Ford as Deckard. And I don't know, it's a very different role for Harrison Ford to see him in compared to like the whole Indiana Jones and other things. So I don't know, I think I'm gonna go Deckard because I'm also maybe be a bit biased by 2049 because of where his character goes. And I think I'm gonna go Deckard. I think if we're main character, we're talking portrayal. It's a small line, but I'm just gonna go across for Deckard. I'm sorry.
Yeah, for me as well. It's so marginal. The line between the and I mean Gladiator too. If Russell Crowe comes back, I guess he does.
He doesn't.
He doesn't. Oh, okay.
I don't think he does.
I don't know. I thought he was on that cast list, but we'll have to wait and see. Maybe that changes to the character as a whole. As you said, we got a continued story for Deckard in 2049.
And I mean, you could do the same for production design, right? Which do you prefer, the Roman Roman Empire, which men daily think of, or the city of Blade Runner? I mean,
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So
that would have been my next question, actually, Kevin. So thank you. You fast tracked. That would have been my next thing. Like, which world do you prefer? And clearly Blade Runner takes the cake there. I think it visually does stuff that obviously the time period of Gladiator is restricted in, Yeah?
Which ending do we prefer more?
Blade Runner. Blade Runner. I think it has its flaws with like the final fight, but where it ends up with the tears and rain,
you know what?
I think it's incredible.
I think what's a better thing is, what do you prefer, the ending song of the wheat field or Tears in the Rain? You know what? If you're gonna talk about score,
score,
I don't know, man.
I don't pay attention as much as other things in films to score. I think that's always like in the back for me. When a movie works, then I don't really notice it. So it's like when I think back on a movie, it's also not that strongly like ingrained in my memory.
Yeah, but that Wheatfield score and Tears in the Rain, which is one of the most also iconic scores. I don't know. On that front, I think that's a more interesting question than which ending do you prefer, honestly.
Well, I mean, Gladiator kinda sorta for the character has like an ending that is happy for him, because he ultimately has like met his quest's end. Because he questions like his mortality, or like should he be alive if his family isn't, early on in the movie. Is this effort what I'm doing even worth, or am I doing it for not just for me but for everyone else, for the good of Rome? And it becomes like this really noble quest. I think Blade Runner is so much messier. It just in where the scene takes us, and like punching through walls and then up on a rooftop, and just kind of underwhelming, shortcutting a physical fight by the actual ideas the movie has at the center of the story. And that to me is like ultimately like a more interesting ending than Gladiator, where it just feels like a rewarding end with like a nice score and everything, which is beautiful, don't get me wrong, but I prefer Blade Runner over it.
I guess we're gonna have to vote then.
I mean, ultimately we don't have to do this discussion, this whole thing, but it makes it like give the movies the actual time to discuss them. Obviously you can't do that with 16 movies, so in the final look on, I like the input, I like the approach, but yeah, should we vote here? Should we get to a vote? Okay.
By the way, I sneakily installed a drum roll in Discord sound, so
Oh, okay. Well, we're not gonna use that, so that's solely for us. And I also muted it, because it was annoying to me. So I just muted both of you. Yeah, you can spam. I'm not hearing any of it. And also the audience won't hear it. I'm gonna go. I was really close to voting for Gladiator. You had me convinced for a while that like I really loved this movie. While watching it, I had it like almost shoot up to 5 stars at points, but Blade Runner used to be like a 5-star movie for me. Then I took it down a notch on a rewatch. But I think I prefer between the two. It wouldn't have been my favorite Ridley Scott movie. I think that's still Alien, but I'm gonna vote for Blade Runner.
I like both a lot. I think Gladiator is a incredible story of redemption and maybe revenge and that interesting story, and Blade Runner is an interesting look into humans.
Yeah, humanity.
And, what it means to be human, and what does it mean to be alive. And I think if we were to do this a week ago, and I hadn't seen The Boy and the Heron, I would have picked Gladiator. But after watching The Boy and the Heron, watch it talk about life, it's made me remember why I love Blade Runner so much. And that's why I'm going to pick Blade Runner.
Interesting. All right, cool. Blade Runner is the winner of our bracket.
I would have picked Blade Runner 2, but I fully expected Lachlan to go Gladiator, to be honest.
Yeah. I was expecting that as well, which, I mean...
What can I say? I learned from the best, Ryan Johnson.
He's got some thoughts.
I think he was going to do a coin flip.
Coin flip, yeah. No, he just does this, like...
Yeah,
you know, deciding the matter with a thumbs up or thumbs down, which, by the way, is what you can do right now. We prefer them up, down. Don't kill us with your votes here, and let us know what would have ultimately made it to your final. What's your favorite Alien movie? Drop your ranked lists, not your lanked. That's abbreviation of ranked lists. Below as well, if you got them. I'm almost done with all of Ridley Scott, and I might be working on a video myself where I go over all of his films. But yeah, Blade Runner to be the best film.
Who knows if any of his future films can top any of these? You know, you never know. I know they're doing
Napoleon sure didn't.
Version of this. Raids of the Broken Land. I know he's working on that. I'm very hyped for this film. Gladiator 2. Will it be better than the first? I don't know. We'll see.
Probably not. But
he's 86, so maybe he'll work till 91.
Yeah, I mean, he's 86 right now, and by the rate that he's been doing movies, he surely will pump out another 3 or 4, so we might get up to 32 movies, which would make it a really easy bracket for all of his films. A lot of work to do. I don't know if we would do that on the podcast, but it certainly would work in the bracket format. But yeah, in the meantime, go check out our podcast. We did a full spoiler-on review for Napoleon and the movie that's Wait to Vote. We're actually about to record that for The Boy and the Heron, so go check that out if you want to hear more thoughts. So yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. Thank you, Lachlan and Kevin, for joining me on this quest to crown Blade Runner the ultimate best Ridley Scott movie. I'm happy with the result. But yes, everything is going to fade like tears in rain. This bracket as well. All right, goodbye. Happy thoughts. We are having happy thoughts. Blade Runner,
I was
4K.
thinking of getting my 4K, but it's not there, so I'm not gonna.
I only have a DVD of the final cut, a really ugly version of it. I wouldn't want to grab that, but I do have Alien behind me. Right.
I mean, the video has ended, so no one cares.
I've got this one as well. Got him with it.
Got him. All right.
Goodbye, everybody.